Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Zoo Beating Up Things. Um, Again, we're talking about Modern Zoo versus other decks in the format. This one is not going to show up too often, but it will show up sometimes, and it's worth noting since it has actually placed in high-level events. The deck is called, at least Wizards of the Coast wants it to be called, Vengeance. But a lot of more people know it as as just Goro's Vengeance or Grizzlebanned is the other name for it. Off the guy who invented it, and he was really just trying to get Grizzlebrand banned from Modern. It is yet to happen because the combo deck is not actually that consistent. But the combo is basically a 2-card combo, or you could say is a 3-card combo. And the 3-card combo is some way to get Grizzle Brand into the graveyard, and then Goros Vengeance it out. Just to quickly show you, maybe that's not how you spell it. You spell it with an S, right? There's no actual Z in it, even though I want there to be a Z. So you're trying to get this dude into the graveyard. Turns out Necropotence, in any way, shape, or form, also being a win condition, is generally good. So you're trying to get this guy into the graveyard, you cast him, you start drawing 7 cards, make more combat phases, look for counters to Path to Exiles, whatever. That's what you're trying to do with this. And trying to Goro's Vengeance it out. I don't actually know how to spell Goro's Vengeance. But it's a 2-mana card with haste that lets you take a creature out of your graveyard and give it haste. Legendary creature out of your graveyard and give it haste and then win the game. It's got a backup win condition in the form of Emrakul. Because that's a legendary creature and you can respond to the fact that it goes to the graveyard and then it does other things. So it's not a replacement effect like Progenitus, whereas if it would be put into the graveyard instead, you do this. This is if it goes into the graveyard, it shuffles all of it in. So you can respond to it and then combo off. But it's trying to get it in there, and the easiest way to get it into the graveyard is something like Faithless Looting. Faithless Looting is careful study. It's the best way to get cards into your graveyard. You draw 2 cards and then you discard cards that you want to discard in order to get it out. It also lets you dig for cards that you need, so it pulls double duty in that deck. The rest of it's just ways to manipulate combat with free spells. Exile 2 cards out of your hand, or Ulamog, Emrakul. Look for counter spells, etc., etc. What do you do in this situation if you're a Zoo? Well, what you're going to do is you are going to attack as hard as you can in the beginning and hope that you can burn them out for the rest of the way. That's your game 1 philosophy, and generally you're not going to win game 1. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean, oh, you're an aggro deck, you lose against combo. It's just this deck is just one of those decks that if it pulls off a God Hand and happens to combo off in game 1, then you're going to lose. It's just everyone's unprepared for it, not just Zoo. The real thing to do if that happens is to go with Graveyard Hate. You just want the Graveyard Hate. Sorry, something was wrong with my sideboard. So that's the game 2, game 3. You want to find Graveyard Hate at all costs. It's really that important. You can maybe get away with not having Graveyard Hate since their deck is pretty unstable and tends to fumble. But Graveyard Hate will just seal the game for you. This game went to game 3, and I should also point out something new in my sideboard. I took out 1 Kitchen Finks since I'm seeing less aggro that I need to worry about, less Mirror that I need to worry about. Put Aven Mind Sensor in there because it's good against... it's alright against Control. It's great against Scape Shift. It's really good against Pod. These are all decks that you are seeing a lot more often, so it's worth noting and it's worth having. It's also pretty good against mid-range if you can get it out fast enough. Definitely something you want to put on if you're on the play. If you're on the draw, don't have it in your deck. So let's see how this game goes. So I'm going to keep there's no land in that hand. This one's got lands, whatever. Oh, this is game 2, so we don't want to show that one just yet. Alright. Let's see here. Where's game 1? Alright, here's game 1. Cool. So, he wins the roll, and then oddly enough told me that I could play first. I don't know what that means. I was thinking he was a manaless dredge deck. I didn't know if that existed in Modern, but that's the only time I've ever seen people say you can go first in Modern. But here I got Pillar Flame, which is good, I think. I got Experiment 1 and a good curve here, so I think that's fine. So I think I'm just gonna keep, you know. He's probably right in to say he wants to go first, or he wants to go second because he wants to see more cards in hand, and that's big for him. And it doesn't really matter since he's gonna win out with a combo anyways, and it's gonna be like what, like turn 2 that he's gonna win anyways. So again, really does not matter. But as soon as I saw the Faithless Looting into Grizzelbanned, especially double Grizzelbanned, I knew what deck I was against. Forbidden Orchard gives you a Spirit. I didn't swing with it, but that happened. But as soon as I drew this Path to Exile, I felt pretty safe. Yes, he might have ways to deal with it. I don't know if he does or not, but that's an option. He might have a way to deal with it, but at least I can throw a wrench into the works game 1, which is something that normally you can't do. I should have attacked with the Spirit Tube. Didn't know. I forgot it had haste, or it didn't have haste, but it appeared on his turn, thus giving me the chance to use it. One of the reasons why you might want to have white in your deck is Path to Exile as a main board answer to certain things. The pod matchup, this deck also turns out it's very good against. The reason why I didn't crack this fetch right away is because I didn't want him to see that I had white just yet. I knew what his game plan was. He didn't know what my game plan was when it comes to the Path to Exile. So I didn't want him to play around it. I didn't want him to figure out what to do here. That's why I also didn't do a Pillar of Flame or put out the Tarmogoyf. Strictly because I wanted him to have to figure out an answer. Now, he can draw 7 here, and he doesn't. But he could have drawn 7 here. Maybe he just doesn't have a main deck way to deal with the Path to Exile here. Or maybe he thinks he's going to get another chance. But chances are he would not. I'm going to be swinging with 3 damage in next turn, 4 damage in next turn. Let's see here. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so 6 damage plus another 2. That's enough, you know. I was going to do it eventually. So, he goes to sideboarding right away, because he knows that I've got a Path to Exile in the deck. I'm not just your average Gruul Zoo. I don't know if he knows how many Path to Exiles. What I sideboarded in here, I sideboarded in just the Fairy Macrobras, which are awesome, and the Path to Exile. I did not sideboard anything else in. Now, my game plan here, although this is an alright starting hand, because I could go turn 1, Experiment 1, turn 2, Experiment 1, Experiment 1, turn 3, Curdape, swing for 9 damage on turn 3, plus 1 damage the turn before, so 10 damage by turn 3, half a life total. That's good if he fumbles, but if he does not fumble, then I'm dead, is what I'm thinking. And I've already 1 game up, surprisingly enough. I'm 1 game up. So I figure all I have to do to make this deck fumble completely is draw Graveyard Hate. Or have Graveyard Hate. So I can mold this game to death. If I don't get the Graveyard Hate, we'll go to game 3, and then I'll have another chance to see my hands and get Graveyard Hate. Basically, you get Graveyard Hate, the deck will fumble up extremely well. So I'm mulling away good hands because I need to see Graveyard Hate. Without the Graveyard Hate, and that's keepable, and I'm thinking, nope, at this point I gotta dedicate it to the Graveyard Hate. I keep going, because why not? I get the Fairy Macabra on a land. I figure I get action, like I get one creature out and a Fairy Macabra, I might be able to win. He's got the combo, basically, because he can land, Faithless Looting, discard the Emrakul, discard something else, and then Goros Vengeance the Emrakul next turn and make me lose my shiz, you know? Again, one of the reasons why Fairy Macabra is cool is it takes people from surprise, like it takes this guy from surprise. I'm not sure if he was testing out the deck to see if it's viable or not, and he doesn't know exactly how to run it. That may be the reason why he didn't activate Grizzelbanned in response to my Path to Exile. He also decided not to Faithless Looting turn 1 so that he could avoid some damage. He gets a Grizzelbanned here, which will eventually win him the game, probably. So he's going to Faithless Looting here. I guess he doesn't really care too much because it's like, well, he's a turn away. Doesn't really matter if it's a delayed turn or not. And I think he also thought he had time because, I mulled down to 2. I decided to put the Stomping Ground out there instead of the Arid Mesa. In retrospect, I should put the Arid Mesa out because 2 lands is all I need to function. But I was thinking I might need a 3rd land in case something were to happen. He slips by, and maybe I would have drawn action instead of that land, so it would have been a better choice. So he's got the Grizzelbanned in the graveyard. That's all he needs. He's going to Goros Vengeance it. I'm going to go ahead and Fairy Macabra in a response. He's got the land, I guess, to keep going. So he thought seizes here, and I say, I'm going to put Fairy Macabra. I think he gets confused because he's like, now show me both cards. And I was like, I'm activating a response. Because you can do that. It's not a sorcery speed thing. You can instant speed use it and get rid of cards. So I knock the Grizzelbanned out of there, and I also get rid of the Faithless Looting so he can't search his library more for another Goros Vengeance, probably. Yeah. So there you go, show land, and there it goes back. No big. And I mean, I do well. I just don't draw anything. I draw more lands and more lands. And he's got the Goros Vengeance Emrakul still. He's just got to figure out a way to put it into his graveyard. As soon as I get a creature out there, then he can Lightning Axe it for the win. Now I go down to 3. I still figure if I draw like a Loom Lion or something, I might be able to win. But he's got the Bolt. There you go, game 3. I mulligan down to here. Now, I'm not willing to really fuck this game up now and mull lower than 5. Yeah, wait, no, this one's game 2 for some reason. Alright, there we go. Game 3. I got a Path to Exile in here, but no land, so it's not a keeper. This one is not a keeper either because I don't got anything. This one's fine. I got a Fairy Macabra. I also have a Loom Lion. So I figure, you know, worst comes to worst, he'll go ahead and Thought Seize me. But I still have a shot at winning. I have the Graveyard Hate in hand. I need that Silver Bullet. If he doesn't have a Thought Seize, then game's over for him. And I've got action right away, so it's not like he can combo off right now. Or I guess he could combo off turn 1 theoretically, but it's not very, very likely. He doesn't have the, he has a Through the Breach, which costs a lot of mana. but could be a finisher. Thought Seizes. I'm not going to activate Fairy Macabre if he Thought Seizes because, well, if I activate Fairy Macabre in response to this, then I lose 2 cards. So it's not worth it. I'm just going to go ahead and keep the focus on like beating down now and hope I draw some other card that hates, like a Path to Exile or something. I got a land here instead, and I'm going to go ahead and Burning Tree Emissary for no mana. For nothing real. I do have a Lightning Helix, though, and a Lightning Helix is important, because take away 7, if he doesn't draw a way that to gain him life right away with the take away 7 ability, I can Lightning Helix him for the win. Especially if I were to draw, like, a land and a Path to Exile before he manages to get to full Goros Vengeance abilities. But he's got the Forbidden Orchard. He's got to discard himself. He's going to use his Thoughtseize against himself to make him discard his Emrakul so that he can have a chance at doing it. Something I do, by the way, in Cockatrice is I just preemptively make tokens. It gets people confused. But, it ain't too bad. So he's got his win condition there. I assume he's going to do that if he has a Goros Vengeance to get him through there. Let's swing for 4. That's gonna basically I'm saying if you do a takeaway 7, I can kill you. So he's gonna be smart. He's gonna play around the takeaway 7 right away, and he's gonna attack with Grizzelbanned first. But then basically he has one takeaway 7 left to win the game, and if he does not do that, then he dies. Simple put. Again, this deck is not necessarily the most scary thing in the world. It likes to fumble a lot. So he's got nothing to do here. He still has no way to through the breach. He doesn't have a chance. He's got to do it next turn and manage to live next turn. In order to, but he doesn't even have another one. He doesn't have another Goros Vengeance. So he's gonna have to do another takeaway 7 to find an answer. And there he does it again. He gets a Goros Vengeance, but that's it for him. He could theoretically, I guess he doesn't have any way to deal with it. He can't bolt and manage to live. He can't Lightning Helix manage to win. He's got no way to put out mana. So he's got really nothing, no way to defend himself here. It was just this wasn't fast enough. On top of the fact that he hurts himself with his Grizzelbanned to really win the game. So that's not going to happen. Even if we were to attack, I would still get another turn to win. Even with the bolt, because I can Lightning Helix him in response. That's it. I mean, he's got no way to defend himself from that. It's a very all-in combo. If they don't get their combo pieces, and you're seeing a lot of their cards to get this, it's not gonna work. And he even admits that this happens a lot to him in his testing. So it's not the best deck in the world, and it does a fumble. You know, that's the bad thing with modern turn 2 kills, quote unquote. Yes, it's a turn 2 kill, and the format says that turn 2 kills are bad. However, the turn 2 kills don't always happen. In fact, they happen a lot less often than one would think. They're very impressive when they go off, but they're very inconsistent. Same thing with Infect. Can't do it very often. So, anyways, guys, that was a really short one showing off the deck with the white splash, and it's one of the reasons why that white splash is important. Path to Exile, turns out, is a very good card against this deck. Path to Exile, underrated, I think, in Modern a little bit. And that's how you defeat the Grizzelbanned deck.